So, tonight I'm going to go over interview with Mary. I'm going to have her introduce herself. Um, and we're going to be talking about a few different topics here, a lot of her projects and stuff like that. And here she is.
Well, hi everyone. I'm really happy to be back on this show, Brian. I think last time I saw you was when we were doing those conferences in Burlington, Wisconsin.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. Now
Yeah,
what?
it's been. We need to get together again.
Oh yeah. So what you been doing with yourself? You used to run the research center in Burlington.
Well, I'm still doing the research center pretty much, but now in Winslow, Illinois. But yes, we did close down the Sci-Fi Cafe. What did I do? I think I spent like 10 years, 7 days a week there. And it just got to the point where I just want to start getting out, getting back into my field research and writing my books. And so we closed that down and moved to Winslow, Illinois, and been living happily ever after. But we just got back from Michigan about a week and a half ago, where we went on a big Bigfoot hunt. A very successful trip. I was able to record the howling, and the hoots and the hollers of the Bigfoot. We saw a lot of those little stick figures and teepees, and we found prints. And let's see, then the guys, they were actually able to see a Bigfoot. There was a four-wheeler that went through and scared this Bigfoot up or out of his hiding. And he was hunched over, making his way through these high weeds next to this swampy area. And so the guys got to see him. But I found something out during this Bigfoot hunt that I never knew about Bigfoot, Brian, and that is infra-sound. And infrasound works very much like our ghost EVPs. It's audio, but it is below the hearing of a person. So not only are we getting when we're going ghost hunting, we're getting EVPs. We're also getting EVP type of an audio through the Bigfoot. And with the Bigfoot hunters, it was interesting because you know how us ghost hunters talk about the Oz factor?
You can feel like a very deep sense of something like staring at you, and I also heard that they're kind of like afraid of the infrared. They don't like the infrared if you have a lot of like infrared cameras and stuff like that.
Yeah, we stay away from those trail cams as well. Apparently, they have acute hearing, and they can actually hear the working mechanics of your camera and your trail cams. So going back to that Oz factor, Brian, it's the same thing as what we're getting with ghosts. So I'm wondering how many other types of entities are using infrasound to communicate.
Yeah, and you were just watching one of our shows the other day about stuff out in the woods and stuff like that. And it just, I don't know. There's just so much stuff to this. I think Bigfoot. I think there is a paranormal aspect to it. A lot of people think that it's, an actual creature. I think this thing can like travel in between different dimensions, and it's hard to it's hard to explain that to people, but it's more or less if you experience this, it's pretty intense and scary, and I don't know if come close to contact with one of these things that it can actually become a dangerous situation.
Yeah, well, remember 2 years ago or last year, I was actually rushed by a Bigfoot uh, in the haunted woods. It was sitting at the top of that hill, and when it came down through, it charged me. And it came down through the and broke trees, and it was screaming. Oh my gosh, it was horrifying, and I was paralyzed with fear. I seen him coming, heard the trees breaking, but I could not move. He could have run me over, and there wouldn't have been a thing I could have done about it. But fortunately, it stopped about 20 foot from me and then just disappeared
I've
into the
noticed
ground.
that there. I mean, they seem very territorial on certain areas, and I've been out there. We get rocks and stuff thrown at us, and that that weird smell, like right before they actually appear, is what I mean. I don't know if you watched that video yet of ours on J Road of they're actually throwing things at us, and it was like sitting over by our van, and I mean it scared the heck out of me. And these things actually for the longest time I didn't even believe that they existed, but I also found out that they like to hang out in haunted areas too. So I just I just don't know exactly you know I get scared, to be honest with you. These things are real.
Well, they don't frighten me as much as those dogmen. Now that I wouldn't even attempt to go out in search of, and it definitely doesn't frighten me as much as the Wendigo. But but still, I feel that they're still dangerous. So I don't know. But Brian, I was listening to an old show that I had done. It was called with the UFO radio, and it was called The President's Vampire. And he was talking about I'm hoping that your listeners are familiar with this as well. But you've heard of tulpids, right? Tulpids. They're tulpids. Tulpoids. Tulpids. I believe that's how you spell it. But this is there's certain entities, creatures, that are living in these dimensional realms that you can actually manifest into as a physical being in this world simply by putting attention to it.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. I have a big thing about that actually. I actually just posted something about the Slender Man. I don't know if you follow
You,
that very closely or not, but the intent, the intent of Slender Man, the idea of it, and I think people when they put a bunch of energy into something like that, makes it real, like a real being. So I mean, I do believe that Slender Man exists because people, think that he's real. And I think, oh, I don't know. I don't know. What do you think of that? I mean, it's definitely the same concept, I think.
I really do. And because I was thinking about, like we've always heard of Bigfoot sightings. The Indians have talked about Bigfoot, as a hairy man or guardian of the forest. But lately, in the last, what now, 5 years or so, there has been so many Bigfoot sightings. I mean, you go out into the woods and those Bigfoot are all over and they surround you. I mean, Brian, it's now that I'm starting to investigate these Bigfoot, it's just ridiculous how many there is out there. I bet you here in Wisconsin alone, there's close to 10,000.
Actually,
And
actually, I think the werewolf thing is actually increasing as well. Um,
yeah, true. But I think what it is, it's going on that theory of the tulpids, this manifestation through song. I think that because there's so many people that's gotten involved, with the excitement of Bigfoot hunting, that I think that their attention being put on it has opened up some sort of a gateway or something, and is allowing these, or not, maybe even pulling these Bigfoot out of that other realm into our realm. I don't know for sure, but that's what I'm thinking, based off the show that I did, The President's Vampire.
Whoa.
So be careful out there what you think, huh?
Definitely. I mean, I actually just stumbled upon something this recently too. Red orbs that me and Jesse actually seen over in Aztalan there. They're actually related to werewolf sightings. I didn't even know that, and yeah, that kind of blew my mind. Especially because I think that Aztalan itself is one of the biggest ley lines in Wisconsin.
Yeah, and it runs right through Wellington. It actually starts right up there. It's the Shambhala ley line, and it starts in the Himalayas. And it runs on that 90-degree longitude, runs from the Himalayas around into the Aztalan area, and through Burlington down into Cahokia, and then down into the Yucatan area. And that's that big Shambhala line.
Yeah, I was listening to your speech over at the at the Burlington conference there, and you were talking about your book about the giants of that area. Can you tell us a little bit about that, or?
Well, so far I've got 2 books out on it, Red-Haired Giants. I also have, I just put out another book called Giants, Gods, and Lost Races. And and in that book I talk about North America being the home of these red-haired giants. And I think that they were, I believe that they actually was one of they pre-existed, I know that they pre-existed our human race, the Adamic man. And I talk about that in my book about how the Anunnaki god Enki was fascinated with these hairy men, and may have used them in his breeding program to create us, which would kind of take you into maybe the Neanderthal, maybe like a combination of these hairy men, could possibly be that we do have somewhat of a bloodline through there, or maybe not. Maybe after they could have died out too, and then replaced with more of a modern man. It's still kind of a mystery. But I do have evidence showing that all these red-haired giants all through North America, and graves that they have found of them, and they've created the graves like mounds. The earthen mounds that you see that most people think is Indian mounds are not really Indian mounds per se. They belong to this ancient race of giants. Now there was 2 sets of giants. There was the first set, and they would go 80, maybe even 100 feet tall, and they were more considered the gods. And then there was a second set that came along, and that's 10 to 12 foot tall, and they were proportioned, physically proportioned to go with their height. And that's kind of what you're seeing, with the Bigfoot too, is about that size. maybe the Bigfoot, it could be that maybe what happened was this lost race of giants that I talk about in my books. We know that they were exterminated by the Native Americans and then the Europeans that came over. There was a genocide that took place, just getting rid of them. But, you have to ask yourself, maybe some of them survived. They went underground. And maybe through these thousands of years evolved according to their environment and, becoming hairy, like how Bigfoot is with a full body hair. Um, so, I mean, it's possible, that these Bigfoot that we're seeing today may be remnants of that race of giants that was exterminated here in North America. We've got in my book, I show that Gilgamesh and the epics of Gilgamesh actually talks about the great hairy beast that watches over nature. And his name was Enkidu. And he befriended Gilgamesh at one point in time, and they as a team, they went out and warred with all the other countries because Gilgamesh was a giant as well. But anyhow, something happened. They lost the battle, and Gilgamesh was punished by the gods, and Enkidu was sent to live in the underworld. And I think that the underworld is basically that. It's underground. It's the cave system. It's the inner earth.
I'm gonna add something to that. Weather alert. I it's gonna add something to that. Do you believe? I felt a lot of like human sacrifice and stuff like that actually over in Aztalan area. Is this actually true? With your research?
Yes, it is true. And there was also cannibalism practiced there. But in those days,
I
it was
also
pretty well accepted in the world.
I also felt the Wendigo actually in the same area. I think the Wendigo actually possessed some people in this area with the cannibalism. I can't even say that today. I had a feeling of that going on there too. That's why I was actually. I know that you did a lot of research in this particular area, and I wanted to pick your mind about it. And obviously, I want to take you out there later on but I just wanted to hear your take on that.
Well, there is no doubt. It's documented cannibalism was being practiced, with the people of Aztalan. And there is no doubt that there was giants there because they have found skeletal remains of these giants. As a matter of fact, they actually found a full petrified body of a giant there. And now you have to take into effect that the red-haired mound builders per se were when they started the Indians were warring with them. They left this area as well and started the Aztec civilization, and we know that the Aztec civilization was practicing blood sacrifice, human sacrifice, as well as the priests would eat the heart, of the victim, the sacrificial victim. So yes, you're very correct in believing that about Aztalan. You could say that the soil of Aztalan is red with the blood of the one. And of course, that blood's still there, and it's still alive. So you're still going to be picking up the energy of those sacrifices.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff about that place that just blows my mind, and it definitely you can definitely feel it there. You can definitely feel the blood spilt on the land.
I felt it the last couple of times I've been there as well. I don't know why it's become stronger, but it does seem like the land is calling out more. Now, I think what this is if we had to title it anything, it would be an energy imprint. That, when something traumatic happens, it leaves an imprint of energy. And that energy reads like a book. If you had somebody, that was, has better abilities than mine, but had somebody there like a psychic that could actually pick up what this psychic imprint is telling them, that would be wonderful.
I know that's just a lot when it comes to that play, that whole entire area. I also read up somewhere that there was massive graves all over that entire area, even Burlington, like mass skeletons everywhere. Is that true?
There used to be what they called teepees. It was like a stone structure that were cone shaped. They looked like teepees, and they were all around Rock Lake. And each one had, a corpse in it. Yeah, I was, they used to, there was so many bones at one point in time of these skeletons in the Wisconsin area that when they were making the roads, the gravel for the roads and that, they were actually using the material from these skeletal beings that were just laying all over in the 1800s. And they were actually using them, grinding them up for, road material. And I also heard that the trains, as they would be coming through, because at that time you used to feed the engine, the furnace with wood, and they'd find these dump sites, of all these mounds of skeletons of these giants, and they would just scoop them up and use to save the wood. They would use these skeletons up, throw them into the furnace, and burn them. I heard that from Chief, uh, his name was Chief Tecumseh, was telling me he's out of New York.
That was an Indian tribe you heard that from?
Uh-huh.
What? Which one? What tribe?
It, he was out of New York, but I can't remember. You caught me off guard on that one. I can't remember the
Well,
name of.
there's.
They're still.
Would it be Oneida? Because I know Oneida tribe is in New York as well.
No, it wasn't the Oneida. But I can't. It was kind of a strange name, so I can't.
Okay, that's fine. I was actually talking to my Reiki master, and I was actually talking to her about you know why the southern part of Wisconsin is actually more negative versus the upper part of Wisconsin. That it's there are a lot of like healer psychics and everything gravitate towards the northern part of Wisconsin, and then we have the darker stuff towards Milwaukee and the southern area. I don't know. I was wondering if you also have a take on that, if you know what I'm talking about.
You're correct. I did a show with this one guy, and he was telling me that the southern part of Wisconsin is known as one of the largest is one of the largest areas for witchcraft, practicing witchcraft, the southern part. And then he broke it down even further and took it to actually into the Burlington, Wisconsin area, as very, very heavily practiced Satanist. Have you ever heard of the Devil's Triangle here in Wisconsin?
I have. I never really
Well,
did any like, research on it
yeah,
too much.
yeah. Well, it's I'm going to be putting up a show here real soon. That's what I was doing when you contacted me earlier. I'm pulling all my old shows, and going to put them up on YouTube again because there's such value. They're old, but there's such valuable information there, and I don't want it to get lost. So, but anyhow, I have this show, and I was talking to this gentleman that studies this, goes around, and works with priests, different things like that, trying to clean up the area, I guess. I can't remember too much of the show, but the show was about the Devil's Triangle in Wisconsin. And it takes up the Burlington area, but I'm almost positive that it extends out into the Aztalan as well. Maybe I can get that show up yet tonight on my Facebook, and at some point in time you can listen to it. But it's the Devil's Triangle of Wisconsin. But yeah, the southern Wisconsin is where a lot of satanic practices is going on right now, which
I mean,
surprised me. I
I
figured
mean,
it
I can
probably.
I can elaborate on some of it. Obviously, I can't go into complete detail, but I mean, there was a major cult group in that area. They're not as prominent anymore. They're not as openly practiced than they used to be, but it's a lot more tame than it used to be. Um, but you're kind of right. There's a lot more stores and stuff like that for the dark arts. That way. I know a few people that do down there. So, but you're right a little bit right about that. But I'm talking about more or less the just it just feels negative down there, and I don't know if it's necessarily the
Well, it used to be a
witchcraft.
lot worse. It used to be a lot worse. Getting better, or the more going up. But I think what producing the site area pulled in a lot of people that are feeding their area now with more positive energy. At least I'm hoping. I'm hoping.
Yeah, I don't know.
But then you have to,
I just think that they're with all the bodies and stuff like that that was down that way.
yeah.
In the northern part of Wisconsin, I mean, you can go down the street and go to any kind of healer. I mean, there's lots of healers up north versus down here. You know, kind of like in the
Yeah.
middle here in Fond du Lac, but I noticed
Well,
everything that's dark that we've hunted was down that way.
yeah. It's well, you have that very strong portal there in the woods as well, in the Burlington woods, and a lot of stuff is going in and coming out of those woods. And then, of course, Burlington was built on 27 burial mounds too. And energy does not die, so that energy's still there.
I also was wondering, did you ever hear of the cube law? Square cube law?
Uh, you know, it vaguely rings a bell. Do you want to explain it?
Yeah. It's actually a scientific thing saying that giants can't exist. I was wondering. I don't know if you have time. I mean, I could briefly tell you what it is. It's just saying that it really that human body can't go past like a certain amount of feet without becoming deformed. What is? I mean, obviously back then there was probably something different. I don't know how that would be about. Maybe down in the future when you know a little bit more about it. I don't know. I just
I think that's the thing. Dinosaurs, ostriches don't exist. Elephants can't exist.
that's a good example.
Yeah, it's science, I mean, they're supposed to be the ultimate, as far as wisdom goes. But the older I get and the more research I do, I realize that these new scientists that they have out, or the ones from the early 1900s up until now, I mean, they're just so I just don't understand how they can even call themselves scientists, because they will not open up their mind whatsoever to any possibility of things. And that's what science is all about, is checking into the improbable, checking into the impossible, you know but these guys, if it doesn't come across their desk already approved, then they won't they won't help us at all. It's, to me, I'm very disappointed in the mainstream science of today. Now, if we're talking physics, I love what they're coming up with, with portals and ley lines and the various dimensions. Physics is
I don't
good.
know if you knew this, but a lot of scientists are actually looking into quantum physics right now to
Concepts.
to into the paranormal, and saying that it is a real science. So I mean that I'm kind of proud about that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you talk, there's a big difference between regular mainstream scientists and quantum physics, or physicists, period. The physicists, they're open to these possibilities of the quantum world. But mainstream science, I mean, it's just, it's like, get off your dead butt and get out there in the real world and see what we're seeing, experience what we're seeing, and then you can form an opinion. But you know they don't. And they've just got everything, all messed up. Mainstream science, not physics. you know
Yeah,
not the
yeah, I know what you mean. It's just
I mean,
I
there's
just had to throw that in there because a lot of people will say, like, well, giants can't exist because of that. Well, I
well, guys
mean,
would fall in the same category. The
yeah,
ostrich, there's giants. I mean, look at the whale, the blue whale. All these different. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, like they are saying yet today, even though we find these cougar prints out in the woods in various places, and people know that they're cougar prints, and the DNR, which is a branch, of, it's a scientific branch of sorts, they're still claiming that there is no cougar in Wisconsin. Well, if you believe that and you go out into these woods, I mean, that could cost you your life. You know, you have to take precautions. But if you don't know what's out there in those woods, well, how in the heck are you going to, take precautions, against it? And they say there's no Bigfoot. Well, we know that there's Bigfoot. People have seen the Bigfoot. Wendigos, there's Wendigos. I would rather listen to Native American lore. You know, if something keeps being repeated over and over again, people keep seeing it over and over again, experiencing it over and over again, then there's got to be something to it. It should be worthy enough to explore, at least.
and yeah, you're
So,
right. I mean, definitely. I mean, this. I think Wisconsin in general is nothing but ancestry Indians and um, the, the the sky people. And I think
yeah.
there's a lot of evidence around here. With the effigies, and a lot of people just kind of throw it off to the side that it was nothing but Indians and stuff like that. But I mean, it definitely has more of a spiritual aspect to it, and I don't think a lot of people really think of it that way. It's just, I mean, they're definitely more in tune with the earth than we ever were.
Well, it's like people are like, they kind of remind me of my daughter. My daughter's like 30. And when she was a little kid, I told her that chocolate milk came from brown cows. Even though she was 30, I heard her one time arguing with her husband about this, that they came from brown cows. And he says, will you please tell her that the chocolate milk doesn't come from brown cows? And I looked at her like, are you nuts? That you would actually believe that? But but see, when I told it to her, I was an authoritative figure. So her brain just took that in as a fact and didn't question it. And this is what happens, or has happened to our society today. They're so used to accepting what the authoritative figure tells them that they cease to question and to explore on their own.
Yeah,
But
it's
like
sad
people
that that
like
happens.
I think that they're awakening, and it's a good thing we're doing what we're doing, because with them awakening, we need to find, the information. And that's what you provide, with your research, what I provide, and what so many, all of a lot of us do provide. But I mean, if we wasn't out there doing what we're doing, where would they get this information? You know, in a dead pool, of scientists that say, well, there's not, that stuff is all fake. It's just a matter of,
I also think that, by doing a lot of these shows and stuff like that is to, show people that there's stuff that exists, but, obviously don't go out and find it yourself because it can be very, very dangerous. And, I don't know, I've really been really contemplating about actually having, you know, freaking weapons along with me. But then again, I know that they can sense stuff like that, and they'll actually pretty much attack you if they sense, because a lot of it is, I think they're telepathic as well, and it's people that are actually telepathic and can connect with these things. And I heard that when they actually develop a telekinetic link with you, they actually could follow you home like miles and miles away from where they're actually at, because they just simply, I don't know if they like you or just want to harass you or not, but I mean, it definitely, there's a lot of weirdness involved, and like
well, there is, and it, and we haven't even touched the tip of the iceberg of what's really out there. What's really happening. I mean, because okay, yeah, you can pull. Just think, you can pull Bigfoot, and a lot of people think Bigfoot's probably okay, and they may be, but all it's going to do is take one mean one, you know, to hurt you, you know. But then there's that dog man, and then there's the Wendigo, and then there's these off-worlders like the aliens, and there's all these different types of entities coming through these portals now. Um, there's the jinn, you know.
yeah, I actually
This is
heard that you can't I heard that you can't expel a jinn from anything. If you actually encounter one, it doesn't, you could use any biblical thing that you would want on it, and it wouldn't expel it from that area. You pretty much have to run from that area if that jinn actually was in there. And obviously, I haven't came across one myself, and I don't recommend anyone actually running across it. And I don't think anyone actually would even know what it is if they came in contact with something like that.
I don't know. I've been researching the jinn for years, because there's a community of jinn up there in those woods. And sometimes I wonder if the Bigfoot that we're seeing up there, because the jinn can shapeshift, or the jinn can actually have you see something that's not there. And so they can make themselves for you to see them with the UFO. the jinn can appear to you as a Bigfoot. There's so, or a best friend, a husband, a wife. I mean, they're masteries of trickery. The Native Americans called them the trickster. But the trickster is nothing but a jinn.
Yeah, you know what? I actually believe you on that because when we were out there last, I was, we got chased out of there by some kind of like tree thing, and we took off, and I wasn't feeling very well. Like I was getting physically attacked by something that I couldn't see,
Yeah,
and
that's called sound.
what's
That's caused
that?
from the that's caused blast of infra-sound. INFRA sound. Infra-sound. You can get extremely ill from it. So
Huh?
the tree was taking you out of the woods and you got sick.
Yeah, I mean, we were just doing some experiments out there. We didn't have a. All of a sudden, I just like we need to get out of here. I didn't put that video up just because it's just poor quality of video. That particular night it was raining out and that, so. But it definitely, I definitely felt something that we it really didn't want us out there, and I never came across it at first. I thought it was a Wendigo, but no, this thing, it was different. It was a different encounter that I've never experienced, and I tell people I tell people all the time that we may experience this stuff. You may believe us or you may not believe us. This is what we're experiencing at these particular places, and that's the only way we can explain it by our experiences in the past. Trying to help others, trying to learn at the same time we are.
Right. Yeah, I've been chased out of those woods more than once. I mean, all of a sudden you have this feeling that you're being surrounded or there's something there that you can't see, and there's so much anger. You can actually feel it, and it's just like you just know you have got to get out of those woods as quickly as possible. And then when you do turn to try to run out of the woods, you can, whatever it is, you can feel it almost in your neck. Okay.
Anyway, definitely there was a lot of stuff that it's not necessarily just that woods. I've been to other places that just a dark presence. I don't know if you ever went to Fitzman's ever. That place is pretty. It's over in Milwaukee. That place is pretty freaky too. Definitely a lot of
If you
death.
if you've done a show on it, then I can pretty much guarantee that I've watched it. I don't think that there's a show I haven't watched of yours. I love your work. I've
Thank
learned
you.
a lot from you.
Yeah, thank you. We're probably. I like the headless phantom one. That one was kind of interesting because I actually think something actually manifested itself as a physical being. I don't know if you remember that one or not. The guy just came out of nowhere. Our thermal didn't even pick him up, and all of a sudden there's this guy at 3 o'clock in the morning just standing there. Right after I said, "Can you manifest yourself in front of us?" So definitely a lot of weirdness in Wisconsin.
Yeah, well, weird Wisconsin. And there's more cryptids here in Wisconsin than any place in the world. I mean, every state is kind of known for one cryptid.
Yeah, just one. Yeah, I actually just stumbled upon the hodag. I'm actually going to be looking into that very soon.
Somebody just contacted me. Who was it? Oh, Jamie Anderson. He works for Fate Magazine, and he contacted me just the other day because he's coming to Wisconsin and wanted to know about the. And so I told him I'd get information for him. all the information I've gotten so far said it was a hoax. So what I'll just do is have him contact you, and you can tell him the other side of the story.
Yeah, that sounds
Right?
good. I mean, any information that he wants, I mean, I could definitely look into it for him too.
Yeah. Yeah, he writes for Fate magazine.
So what do you have planned? You were gonna do something with some kind of research thing going on, or do you have anything planned
Well,
coming up?
yeah, well, I'm still kind of kicking the can about doing another conference this year down in Bellevue, Wisconsin. They have Bellevue Days or Bellevue UFO Days at the last part of October. So I'm thinking about maybe going down there, talking to the chamber and seeing if we can't put together a conference, lease a building someplace there and put on a small conference again. And then I'm writing my books, and I'm still going out there looking for the unknown factor, whether it be Bigfoot or, some strange event or UFO or whatever. If it's outside the norm, it piques my curiosity, and I just got to be out there to find out what's going on. And then I'm using my Facebook like like a virtual classroom, trying to, introduce people to the weirdness of it all, of ancient races, UFOs, Bigfoot, Dogman, whatever.
And you
Uh,
had like your own radio show, and you've been on TV and that. I mean, you definitely know your stuff. When it comes to that, I really like your research. I mean, I definitely follow a lot of your research, and I do use some of that on some of my cases that I do, and it really is up in the air to some people. What we've been trying to do for a long time here, and as for the conference and that, I'd really love to do that again. That definitely would be something that I'd be interested in doing.
you're most certainly welcome. I believe that they have it. Well, actually, they always ran theirs at the same time as we were running that in Burlington. So it would be the last weekend in October. And so, yeah, if you want to, you're more than welcome to come down and, do a workshop or a small lecture, whatever you want to do. But I like your work, and you're an honest and truthful person, and that's what we need in this field right now.
I
There's a
definitely
lot.
try. Yeah, a lot of scam artists and that. I definitely try not to. And I will. You know, if somebody is scamming people, I will definitely call them out on something. And unfortunately that's sad that when that happens. And
Well, you have, Brian, because there's getting to the point where it's very discouraging for us, that are out there doing what we're doing, and having to deal with all these people that are just hoaxing the public, for monetary gain. I mean, it's very, very discouraging, and they need to be called on it. Me, I'm a pacifist. I don't like, you know, saying anything really bad about anybody, but what they're doing, with the public, it's terrible. You know,
I don't
it's
know. I don't know if you've ever seen this video. It was actually a private case that we done a while back, and there was a so-called shaman there, and she was like scratching herself, and she really like interfered with our case, and we were really trying to help this lady out, and I mean she hasn't went outside in like 8 years or something like that, and all these like shamans and stuff were like trying to tell her to, these demons are out to get her, and yeah, she kind of like freaked out and stayed in her house, and and it's sad that we run across stuff like that, and yeah, and then we got personally attacked, by these shamans or whatever, and I just it it doesn't affect me at all, but it definitely would, tell people that, yeah, they're, be careful what you do. There's those fake researchers out there that are in for it for the money. And don't get me wrong, we all have to live, but I think there's limitations to your services that you provide for people.
Well, I charge for a lot of my services, but I give people something of value for it, but there's a lot of them out there that's just making things up as they go along. And it's just, it just ruins the credibility of all of us that are trying to do it the right way.
Yeah. I'm gonna give you. There's a place that I've been looking at, and it's gonna sound funny. I don't think you've ever heard about it, but you ever hear of phantom chickens? Phantom chickens. Well, there's a road here in Wisconsin, up towards Green Bay, that there's phantom chickens that come running out into your way, and you hit them, and they cause an accident.
Huh.
Yeah, I was like, well, I'm gonna actually go check it out. I think it's endless. It's endless about things about Wisconsin.
When you're up for investigation, just keep in mind that they may have a gym in the area too.
I mean, I'm keeping in mind that it's probably just a folklore, but
Make themselves appear hunt things with chicken for all you know. But I would seriously consider looking for evidence of a gin up there too.
a gin.
Did you know? I've heard, and I don't know if this is true or not, but this is what I've heard, that the Wendigo actually came to be, manifested. And the first place it manifested was here in Wisconsin. Yeah, it's a Wisconsin-born entity.
And now you're talking about the gin or the Wendigo?
The Wendigo.
Oh yeah, I think that it originated from here as well. I think up a little bit up north, over in the Cherokee area. I do believe it started in that area. I don't know if I've ever told you. I actually came across a Wendigo only one time, and well, anyway, I was living in Milwaukee at this particular time, and this guy that I was living with, he decided that he wanted to test out my abilities in that. So I'm like, yeah, sure. So we went up north in this particular area, and we're driving along. He's like, well, do your stuff. And so I stuck my hand out the window, I closed my eyes, and I was just feeling the wind. I had my hand out the window, and I was just feeling the wind as we're driving slowly, and all of a sudden, I actually started seeing blood, and it was a snowy day. I think it was like in the fall or something like that, and you could see a little bit of snow on the ground, but at first I thought it was a car accident because I actually started seeing like body parts in that. And this might actually get kind of graphical for anybody that's watching. Now I was driving down this road, and he was driving on the road. And I was describing what I was seeing. It was like a slideshow in my head. Now, and I completely changed my mind. I was like, well, I see a hatchet, I see body parts, and I pointed over out into the woods. I'm like, is there a house back there? And he's like, actually, yeah, there is. I go, well, this guy, I see an entity that possessed somebody, and he started eating his family, like eating their body parts and stuff. And he completely stopped the car in a dead stop, and he's like, "You did not look up any of this information online and that?" And I was like, "No, I think we need to get the heck out of here because this thing definitely knows that I'm sensing the area, and it's big in my mind. It's some like wooded looking creature that is about 12 feet tall, and it doesn't like people out in its territory. And it told me that because these people moved out onto its land, it had its right to do whatever it wanted to the people that lived there, and it was hungry, so it took over this guy's form and he ate his family. And there's definitely records of that actually happened, but the town itself is actually trying to cover that up. They didn't want to make that news, so it's very, very hard to actually find that information, but I did find something on it. But it blew my mind that certain thing exists, you know?
You were right. As quickly as possible. We had two researchers that went up there to the northern woods because they had heard that there was a Wendigo there in those woods. So they went up there, and they checked into a cabin at night. The next day they got a canoe, and they were up on the canoe, and something came up from underneath that water and tipped their canoe over, and then pulled them down to the bottom of the lake and wrapped their legs up in the seaweed. And they managed to get loose and get back up to the surface, and the thing tried grabbing their legs again. And they managed to get out of there, but that was the end of them researching, doing any more explorations for me.
Was this actually by Devil's? Was this actually by Devil's Lake?
Where?
Devil's Lake?
This was up further north.
Okay. Because that's actually something that I want to do this year, where I actually get my hands on a boat and a deep underwater camera. I'm going to be doing Lake Mills. I heard something that was out that way. I definitely want to do Devil's Lake, but I think in like the Devil's Lake area, all those little pond areas, they're all interconnected. I think that it might actually be something similar to what these guys experienced, and that's kind of crazy that you said that.
Yeah, they said that it was huge, very strong, but they could feel it pulling them. They could feel it, the touch of it, but they couldn't see it. But yeah, it definitely tried killing them both, and they were just. I mean, I have a radio show. I interviewed them, and they explain what happened to them. I'll send you the clip at some point in time so you can listen to it.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's beyond crazy, and especially if it's invisible and like you see something like pulling your boat down. I mean, that definitely it's stuff like that doesn't make the news, and like when people hear it, they're like, "You're insane," you know.
Well, they have that one guy, David Ploidis or something. He wrote that book, Missing 411, and talking about all these people that come up disappearing, in these national parks. But there was this one guy that worked for the DNR, and he said that, when it comes to like Bigfoot, Dogman, stuff like that, they cannot report it, because it interferes with tourism. So it's all about the money. Well, that's the concern. They're afraid if people know what's really out there in those woods that they'll cease going in.
And I've talked about that several times about, people missing. And they, even Kettle Moraine, there's actually people that went missing, but you don't hear about it. You really don't hear about it. And it's a freaky thing to really think about. Now, we're actually going
Yeah.
on an hour here. I don't know if anything that you want to say here real quick, and then we could actually just close up shop here.
No, just that my website is burlingtonnews.net, and I have like my own, because my website is so big, it's like New York City. So what I did is I have my own search engine up on my front page. So any topic that you're interested in, you just type it in that search engine and then click it, and that will open up every page that I have ever put up on that particular subject. And I think that that would probably work best for everybody.
Okay, and well, thank you everyone, and thank you Mary for taking the time to talk with me today. And we're definitely gonna do some projects together here. That's something I wanted to do for some time, ever since I've met you, and definitely, I'm gonna definitely look at your videos and stuff that you're gonna be posting up here, and thank
Well,
you.
yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm taking all my old archive shows and I'm leaving them as such, but I'm going to put them up on YouTube. So watch for my YouTube shows. And
Oh,
I'll see you when I see you. I guess that's the way to say it, right? And
yeah,
thank you all for listening to our show tonight.
yeah. Actually, I was actually gonna go see that Chicken Alley thing actually tonight.
Oh, well, let's keep me informed what happens.
Yeah, I'll definitely I'll put that up after this video. I have a little cookout going on. We just started a cookout here, so I have to get going. And
Yeah, just keep in mind that manifest themselves in your mind as to anything. So, I mean, sometimes, that chicken story sounds a little strange. You might get a whole bunch of laughs from it, but that could be intentionally done just so that people don't pay attention to it. But if you're having a lot of accidents up there, you know, then that something's going on. There's something there that's causing those accidents.
I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna be worth my time or not, but I mean, it's definitely even a little tiny show about it that something like this actually exists. So, all right, Mary. Well, thank you for your time, and we'll talk later. All right.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Now that was quite interesting. Like I said, Mary likes to, she's a big fan of ours. She watches like all of our stuff, and she definitely a lot. When I do my research and stuff, a lot of her paperwork and that actually is involved with a lot of what I do. And then not everything, but definitely, certain things about, areas that, I mean, she definitely, wow, yeah, there's a bunch of storms heading this way, and actually have to turn the computer off. Hopefully I can get this updated, and I'm going to try to attempt to do a case tonight. So, again, thanks, Mary, and we will talk very, very soon. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you like this. Give us a like. Bye-bye.